First day of basketball is back. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, live from the Xfinity Lounge. Derek, Kyle, I'm Devon Breeze, the president of basketball operations, and we are presented by our good people, Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. And Ford, how many years, Kyle?
48 straight, Devon.
Make sure you visit your local Ford store. Well, yes, everybody, it's Friday. Media day for the Philadelphia 76ers as they kick off the official start of their 2025-26 season. And media day got underway, hearing from Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Nick Nurse, and
everybody
Daryl
but
Morey.
Jared McCain, unfortunately.
Everybody was there today. Jared McCain was there, but he just didn't speak. But he was there.
Which I get. He is fresh off an injury. So.
I saw him when we were downstairs in the gym area and still had a smile on his face like he always does. And we'll see how the information that starts to trickle out about his injury and how they're treating it and what they're waiting on with the MRI to see exactly how they need to proceed. But it's good to have it back, Derek. Media day, and it's been a long off season, long summer. But just to simply be back in the gym, seeing some familiar faces, seeing the players. Everybody seemed upbeat too, Kyle, where it's always day one. Many of them were saying, felt like the first day of school, and all these media days that they've done in the past. And even the rookies just
I said that exact phrase to
Amy
Amy Fadul and Paul Hudrick today. So
yeah.
I think everyone is kind of in that back-to-school mentality this time of year.
It was good to be back there. So let's just get right to it. With some of the things that were laid out today, and one of them was Tyrese Maxey, just starting things off with speaking about what the new standard of the Philadelphia 76ers needing to be. He understands that he's kind of that bridge from the veterans to the young players as well, and being the guy right there in the middle with year number 6, even though he's still, 24, 25 years old. Yeah. He's still very young,
but
he's been in the league for 6 years. But Derek, the standard of being the new standard of the Philadelphia 76ers and how he wants things to be for the team as they get ready to get started.
Yeah, and he kind of gave a little pushback. He's like, man, why'd you have to bring up that it's been 6 years? Like, it's sneaking up very quickly on all of us, Tyrese. But no, I mean, he is the guy. Like, he talked about having people, in Dallas for workouts, having people at workouts here. He really is sort of like that more vocal, like more out in front leader that can complement Joel Embiid, which helps because Tyrese tends to be on the floor a little bit more. He's available a little bit more. He is around his teammates a little bit more, and he certainly has that kind of personality and that proven track record of improvement that I think he's going to thrive in that role. Obviously, you still need talent on the floor. I do think this is a media day where it seemed like everybody was in pretty good spirits, even the players who don't seem like they are necessarily ready to play right away, which I'm sure we'll get to very quickly. But Tyrese is front and center now with everything that they do. And I think he was, he held that mantle here today. He held that mantle for a good part over the offseason. And I think he's ready for that.
Bree, do we have that clip of Tyrese Maxey to share with our wonderful viewers at home, wherever they might be right now?
When you see Philadelphia 76ers, this is what you see. You're going to see that team every single night. Every single time you turn the TV on, every single time you step foot in whatever arena that we're playing in, this is the team that you're going to get. And this is the type of culture you're going to get. They're going to do this thing. They're going to do a certain thing a certain way every single night. I think that's the biggest thing. And then just like building a camaraderie and a brotherhood off the court, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've tried to do this summer. Justin was in Dallas a little bit, came to my house, you know what I'm saying? BJ, a couple guys are going to come to my house soon, you know what I'm saying? A couple out here. So it's just like, that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to build. You have that friendship and that relationship off the court. I think when you get on the court, I've even started playing video games with the DJs, the Justins, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like I think that's going to help us a lot.
Boy, he sounds like he's really struggling to play those video games. Like,
say,
my God.
We need to have more team bonding video game sessions, apparently. This is a...
I'm playing plenty of video games for the three of us.
Well, by the way, he did say, because for everybody who, of course, weren't in the building with us, Derek and Kyle were upstairs handling the interviews at the table where all the players and the coach and the president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, came up. I was downstairs with Rich and Bree and Julia and Jamie. Rich and I were conducting the interviews, the one-on-ones that we had downstairs. So we'll have all of those things for you. That was just the start of it, of course, with the guys upstairs. By the way, as you say that, bonding, like our bonding and all that, Tyrese said he wants in on our Marvel draft that we have yet to do.
Tyrese, you are more than welcome,
so
my
he
friend.
he said, call and we'll set it up, and he'll be a
Perfect.
part of our Marvel draft as we go along. But your thoughts, since you were right there with him,
There's
what you
Nick
thought?
Nurse with the fellas.
Yes.
Bunch of exclusive stuff that will be coming out soon. I'm looking forward to hearing it because I didn't get to hear any of it today. On the subject of Maxey and the standard, I do think that this was probably my overarching takeaway from the day, was that these guys believe what they're seeing in the gym before camp even starts, right? Weeks of scrimmages, workouts throughout the summer, various guys going through rehab, that's planting the seeds for a better season, right? Andre Drummond, in very comical fashion later on, said, I came in 2 days late to these scrimmages and I didn't realize nobody was calling any fouls and I'm getting my ass beat in there, right? But that it's good. It's creating this physical, tough culture so that when they emerge out of this camp, when they emerge out of the preseason, that these guys will be, insofar as scrimmages can do this, they're going to be a little more battle tested, right? They're going to come in every day and there will be a level of toughness that the Sixers represent and bring to the floor. And I think that was the thing that Tyrese was trying to impress upon people, right? That last year, a lot of what went wrong, past just having guys out and injured and everything that comes with that, is you sort of get into this excuse downslide where it's like, hey, Joel's not available tonight. If we lose, not that Maxey's not trying, not that a lot of these guys were not playing hard, but there's just kind of an acceptance of, you understand why we lost. You understand why we played worse. Oh, Paul George isn't out there. We don't have wing defenders. We don't have as many shooters. We lose to this good team. Oh, well. And Tyrese was very open last year about how tough that season was on him. He's never been a guy who loses at any level of his career. And to go through that season and come out on the other side of it, his big takeaway, and I think that's being passed down to all these guys as Tyrese becomes a vocal leader, is no one is going to feel sorry for you, and they're definitely not going to feel sorry for us, right? You just become a punchline team. It's easy to say, oh, look at the Sixers. They're so hurt. They're this, they're that. They suck. They're not good enough. You're not a number one. You're not this. And the only way that you can avoid that, the only way that you can control your destiny is by showing up every day, putting on the hard hat, getting to work. And there was another quote from Tyrese a little bit later on where he said, you do the right things every day. I believe that those things it'll eventually work out for you, essentially, right? And so with him as one of the most vocal guys on the team, probably the vocal leader of the team at this point, in that starring role, plus you have these young guys setting this culture of hard work, plus I think you heard a lot of things about mentorship and bringing along the young guys from the veterans of this team. They do seem like they're starting with a business-like approach. It's just about sustaining that over the course of this season.
So that was my first time seeing that, and it takes me back to the 2-11 start that they had last season, where the team meeting was called upon right away because of how bad things had gotten, and where all of these things started to come out of that meeting that we just started to hear about Tyrese telling Joel he needs to be more prompt and more on time and things of that nature, and other things that they needed to correct. That right there, and watching that for the first time, it's just more of that leadership that Daryl Morey talked about last weekend. And where he is right now and how comfortable he is in holding that mantle of, yes, I am that bridge to the veterans, 2 of which are Hall of Famers potentially, and the young guys that are coming in, where I feel so comfortable being able to set it right there and say it in front of everyone, where there is no elephant in the room situation of a loss in a locker room that needs to be called out for things that had led to their 2-11 start. We said, I'm letting everybody know this is what we as a Philadelphia 76ers basketball team are to expect of all of us for this upcoming season. And for him to be the lead guard and for him to be the one that's going to have the ball in his hands for most of that time, I love hearing that from him because while Joel leads by example and he's that leader in that way, Paul George really, with the injuries and not being out on the floor, we all know from just hearing many, many years that we've watched sports and then covered sports, been a fan of sports, that oftentimes your voice is lost when you're injured and they don't hear you. Not that the respect is not there, it's just that you're not going through it with us right now, so the message is not necessarily being received the same. But with him being out there and him being the one that has been the standard out there on the floor regularly, Tyrese Maxey, being that leader and feeling comfortable to call out everybody right up front and saying, this is what we're going to do. And you know this is not something that is just happening on September 26th. This has been happening in the gym all summer, whether it's here, LA, Texas, and in those conversations with Joel Embiid and the rest of those players. So to hear that, as sternly as he put it, there was no laughing. There was no. He was matter of fact of what he said right there, and I love hearing that from Tyrese right off the top.
And just to be clear, when we first launched this company, you were still in a boot. Your voice was not lost, my man.
Thank you.
Absolutely still listening.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I like Tyrese admitted, like, hey, it was probably good for me to go through that last year, and it was painful. I didn't know how to react to it, but I think it makes me a better leader. And we will see. I think, Tyrese has now had a couple years, or at least a couple stretches in years, where Joel's been out for a significant portion of time. And he had to be a focal point both in the locker room and especially on the court. And he made a joke, today during his press conference about how he used to give Joel Embiid a lot of guff for like, hey, Joe, when you're getting double teams, I'm wide open, pass me the ball. He's like, and then I started getting double teamed and I really couldn't see and I understood the big man's plight. Like, it's tough to navigate those double teams. But he has had a lot of attention on and off the court thrust upon him because of Joel Embiid being out of the lineup. And, it does feel like it hasn't necessarily been, I think, maybe like a flashbulb moment that a lot of fans were hoping for, where he would just one day, all of a sudden, I can read these double teams instinctively now. I can, be that engine of an offense, or even I can get us through this rough patch early in the season next year. But what you hope is it's iterative improvements. And having gone through this now 2 years, he is well prepared for year 3 to be what the team needs. And look, he's going to need some talent on the floor. Like, we can have all these feel-good stories we want, and this is something Daryl Morey brought up a lot. Like, we're beyond the talking phase. Like, we've got to actually prove it on the court. Tyrese is going to need, I don't care how, he could grow into the best leader in the world. He's going to need some talent to actually be healthy and on the floor for it to turn them around. But I do think if they do get that help or health, I trust Tyrese and his judgment and what he went through in previous years can help propel them into something better than they have been.
And the reason I liked hearing all this, not just from Tyrese, but from Nick Nurse, from other players, talking about all the culture building and why setting a standard matters, is it would have been easy for a lot of guys to fall into the trap of last season only went wrong because of health, right? That nothing was in our control. It was, it's just sand slipping through your fingertips every single day. And all that we need to do is get guys healthy, and that'll make or break our year, right? That'd be an easy, reflexive way to react to that situation, right? Because they did have talent last year. They did have the capacity to be much better than they were. But they also didn't do a lot of things to help themselves, right? Whether that's on court, off court. We've talked about the coaching strategy, what they're running, what they're not running, just the overall. And, like Tyrese Maxey said in the meeting that got leaked to the media, right? Things as simple as be on time, right? Be there, ready to work. Basic details like that, right? You could have easily, as a team, skipped on past that and just got into, it's a new year, fresh slate. I'm going to do my normal routines. I'm going to do exactly what I did last year and come into this with, hey, if we're healthy, we're going to be a lot better. And if not, oh, well, it's someone else's responsibility. So I just like the idea, especially coming from someone in a leadership position like Tyrese Maxey, that you come out on day one and frankly, day zero before that, where you're in these scrimmages, in these workouts throughout the summer and saying, we haven't been good enough independent of the injuries, and they cannot be the defining feature of this team. It's okay to lose games from time to time, right? You're not going to go 82-0. You're not oftentimes going to go 50-32 for that matter, right? What you can do is show up to work and defend and play together every night. And that starts long before any of us see them on the floor. So I just love that is the first thing that we're hearing, rather than, eyes on a ring, eyes on this, day-to-day habits, and the rest will come later.
All right, so that's Tyrese Maxey. Love hearing that to start things off. We got to talk about the big fella, too. You had an opportunity, you guys did, to sit down with him. We saw him a little bit downstairs, but not necessarily conversational where we could sit down and have that one-on-one or sit there and have that conversation with him. So I can't wait to hear what Derek and Kyle have to say about what they heard from Joel Embiid. He's been the mystery man all summer, and we got a little bit of answers today.
He's still the mystery man.
He's still the mystery man? Okay. All right. Well, we'll do that on the other side on Media Day. Day one. Yes, day one of the Sixers season being back in play, and practices begin on Saturday and Sunday before they head to Abu Dhabi. Well, Joel Embiid, though, on the other side. We'll discuss him right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
And guys, we've all had that happen every now and then, where you go to a friend's house, you're really amped up to watch a big game. Maybe it's the Sixers opening night. Maybe it's the Phillies playoff run coming up here. Whatever it happens, you're let down in a massive way because their setup is lagging, it's buffering, it's just a complete mess. Because if you call yourself a sports fan, you have to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way that you watch, it's next level. Got all the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. So clear that it feels like you're in the arena. On top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
And guys, we've been telling you about our friends at Game Time from day one of this company. That's because they are the best at what they do. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's a hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price, which is the most important part, right? This group that you see on this stage today has now been to the Sphere in Las Vegas multiple times. Both times we went, we're checking out the Game Time app because we know with confidence we're going to be able to get the best seats at the best price. They also have a bunch of other cool features, right? Zone deals, for example. You choose the section, Game Time selects the seat, so you can save a little bit of money as long as you're not too super picky about the exact seat you're going to be in. You obviously get the panoramic seat views. Their priority fees are included, so you know the price up front. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets, especially MLB tickets. Red October coming up with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Tap ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast, here hanging out with you as we are presented by our good friends, of course, of Ford and Rothman. We're also coming to you from the Xfinity Lounge. So let's get to the big takeaway.
Oh, yeah.
The big fella. Big takeaway presented by Xfinity. The big fella. What stood out to you from hearing from Joel Embiid? Number one, if people have not seen Kyle's running diary at allphly.com, go check it out. Thing that stood out to me immediately was he was up first.
Yes, which I've said on this show. I've tweeted about it. I've written about it. He is always last man out of the locker room after games. And some of that's the treatment. Some of that is that he's watching games. I don't mean that to say, boy, Joel Embiid's late to everything, right? He just is a a slower, more methodical person a lot of the time. He was there bright and early, if you consider 11 a.m. bright and early. He actually was, I think, like 5 to 7 minutes ahead of time on his media avail today. So
yeah, Kyle had to like yell at me like, "Hey,
I was like, "Hey, Joe, hey,
I was like heads down and
look up at the screen or the stage. There's a 7-foot Cameroonian up there." So Joel led things off, and I think the thing that jumped out, there are a couple things, but on the health front, he said exactly what we heard from him in the middle of this offseason during that interview with ESPN, where he said, "We're going to listen to my body," right? I am not willing to put timetables and exact expectations. And, there's a broader plan that he has, that the team has for him. But he admitted, and he said directly, it's going to be unpredictable at times, and that's okay. We're going to work with that. He says he wants to play every single game, but is cognizant of the fact that unless there is an absolute miracle, that is not going to happen, that is not going to be possible. And so I don't think that's what most people want to hear, right? In fact, I don't think it's really what anyone wants to hear outside of the organization. What they wanted from Joel, especially after seeing the teases through the scrimmage videos and the workout stuff, was some degree of certainty. And I can understand being frustrated with the fact that he came out right away and said, there is no certainty. In fact, we have the opposite. We're just not going to operate from a place of certainty ever, and you have to get on board with that. But that, to me, is at least a more honest and upfront approach than they've offered in the past, where they would pretend there's certainty or present as if there's certainty, and then we would find out, we're just kind of making it up on the fly, or we're taking it day by day. And so at least I know that many people got to the point where it's like, if Joel's questionable, you're flipping a coin and take it as a true questionable. But there are also people who buy tickets under the guise of, I think this guy's going to play. And then they show up and they're watching Andre Drummond play center. They don't want to watch Andre Drummond play center. So I'm glad that he was upfront about the murky nature of his health. It does sound like he's in good spirits. It does sound like he's in a better spot physically and mentally than he was a year ago. And to me, that's the most meaningful difference, right? Is that he has a stronger base going into preseason and the regular season.
Yeah, that was honestly probably my takeaway. Because look, we've been covering Joel for literally his entire career. So we've seen every media day he has done. And he seemed more at peace on this one than I've seen in a long time, especially since the injuries really started piling up. And I think what Kyle brought up about look, you got to be honest, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, it's going to be unpredictable at times, like he said. It does seem like so much of last year was his frustration over that he couldn't trust his body. And it seems like he's both in a better place physically. Like he said, he's doing more now than he was at this time last year. He said that he feels like he has a better grasp of where he is, but it seems like a lot of it is mental as well. He just seems more at peace. You don't want to say at peace because you'd love for your body to be fully functional and dependable, but he does seem more at peace with where he's at and what the reality is going forward than he was at this time last year, where maybe he was still in a little bit of denial or at least extreme optimism. And, look, like Joel said, there's going to be a setback. It's almost impossible for it not to be. That's just nature of where his knee is at this stage of his career. But I think everything that we're hearing, and even the fact that they're downplaying it a little bit, from a PR perspective, they probably should be downplaying it because they know that it's just not going to be predictable and linear. But it does seem like everything else, from posting the videos and the pictures to the way Joel sounded today, to the little bits of information he gave you about him being in a better place physically and emotionally, I feel better about Joel than I did 2-3 weeks ago. I feel better about him being ready, if not at the start of the season, pretty darn close to it. Now, I say that knowing full well that there's a lot of time for something to go sideways. It's going to be a roller
coaster, buddy.
But it does, I feel like they have a better grasp of it, that they are listening to the right things, that everybody seems like they're on the same page a little more than maybe they were last year. And of course, all of this can go up in flames with one plant and one pivot. But so far, I'm okay.
And the way today was structured, Morey indicated that that was intentional, that Joel was first to speak and the first to talk about his health. Same with Paul George, same with these other guys, because he seemed to indicate that they wanted that to be like, Joel is going to tell you exactly where he is and how he's approaching it, and that it's about his body, rather than, the opposite. The normal way media day runs is you put the GM and the coach up first, and they give all the organizational mandates on this, and this guy's health plan, this guy's ramp up, this guy's return to play program, whatever ridiculous phrases they use. And then the players essentially just like soft confirm that. And instead we got to hear from Joel first. Also, while we're on the subject of not just the knee and his body, but the mental side of it, right? We heard from him in the summer that he had started seeing a therapist and attacking mental health as a thing that he needs to. Tyrese Maxey also was open about that today, revealed that thinking about and working on mental health is something that he's actively doing now. I actually think, and I know Jared McCain does this, I believe, and I'd have to go back and check on this specifically. I think he said he started journaling, so he's kind of writing out his thoughts and how he's feeling. And
McCain
so
definitely does that.
We know McCain does, but I think Maxey said today that that's something that he's, and so like it's nice to see a kind of holistic approach to everything, right? That when you feel good about yourself, your body, it's good for your mental, and there's like a direct connection between the two. And so I think the fact that they, as a group, at least in the the leadership positions, are treating that as the holistic thing that they are, I think that is potentially a really powerful thing. And we've talked a lot about looking at Joel and seeing that the mental component was weighing on him last year. I hope that he is in a better place. He seems like he's in a better place, because that to me is one of the big keys to him getting off to a better start this year.
So for where we were, and obviously getting that information from you guys now, when we spoke to Maxey, the one thing that he kept hammering home about Joel, and the first thing when I started to bring Joel up was Tyrese started to smile. Mm-hmm. And he said, the one thing for me that really has my attention with Joel is seeing him happy again. And seeing him happy again, he goes out there and he's just playing the way that Tyrese is accustomed to seeing him playing, or being that engaging personality on the floor, having fun, joking around with his teammates and all. And that's one thing. So to the mental side of it, we can all talk about what we think from afar, of course, because we're watching the basketball games. We're seeing what he's doing and what he's not doing. And what we don't know, of course, is what he's going through. And that ESPN article over the summer did help out a lot. So for Maxey to say that, and then I pushed back and was like, you can kind of tell, because you're sitting there, you're still smiling. And he's not playing right now in front of us as we're talking. He's like, yeah, because it's just good to see him back out there playing again and being in a place outside of his family where he really enjoys doing something, and that something is playing basketball with them. So very good to hear that. And seeing him up close, definitely slimmed down again, right? Mm-hmm. Didn't he?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he definitely slimmed down again. So good to see that from Joel as we get ready for the start of training camp and preseason games, as they get ready to travel to Abu Dhabi for their games against the New York Knicks. But glad to hear that about Joel, that, we say it, but now I want to see how it all plays out.
Of course.
Yes. So
talk is cheap.
Yeah. And nothing
we made the joke predictions yesterday about, you're always on muscle watch and who slimmed down, who, like, a lot. You can make a lot of claims on media day, and you can make a lot of claims through the media in general.
Yes.
Ultimately, what's going to show the most is when those lights are on and the ball gets thrown up and you play those 48 minutes, the game will show you everything, right? So
we had a couple people claim to gain weight. Did we have anybody actually claim that they lost weight? I don't think anybody did, because
I actually don't think there was a lost weight guy.
Because I don't think anybody asked Drummond about it, and I don't remember Joe talking about it.
Drummond did toe yoga.
He did toe yoga,
which was not on my bingo.
He's like, I didn't even know this was a thing, but you guys can look it up.
We had some small conversations downstairs, even though he wasn't on our list of players to talk to, and he was being moved around a lot. he looked like he did lose weight, though. As we talk about it, he did look like, and even Bree, right? Didn't you say to me, you were like, yeah, he looks a little slimmer than he did a year ago.
I said he looks so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very honest. He's like, look, I felt like I let the city down last year, and I want to do better this year. He was very honest.
All right. Let's take our final pause here. By the way, that was our big takeaway presented by Xfinity. So make sure with our big takeaway and Xfinity, for all your needs, your only needs, go to xfinity.com to make sure that, you're able to watch your television and not worry about the buffering and having people over and things don't look good. It's the big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Learn more at xfinity.com. All right, final break here. We come back. We'll talk about the Rook and some other things.
I do. There's another Joel thing that I want to
Joel?
talk about with you that I believe Bree will have a clip with.
Okay.
We'll talk about that, and then we'll move on to some of the younger guys and even some Paul George.
Paul George?
Remember, he's a guy who exists on this basketball team.
He was nice downstairs when we talked to him just briefly. So we'll get to it all when we get back right here. Media Day edition of the PHLY Sixers podcast. And folks, well, while we're not quite there yet for basketball, look, they play next week, next Tuesday. You got to go to Bet365. I'm sure to be on there. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Over 90 million users worldwide, live streams of 780,000 events each year, and the early payout offers across the NBA and the NHL. So with the preseason games, maybe they will have it available for you. Go ahead and opt on in there. Also, MLB, final weekend for the Phils as they get ready for a homestand. You want to have an early payout offer there? Well, you're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. And with it, you bet you get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win, lose. Sign up now. Use code PHLY365. Deposit 10. Place bet for 5. Get $200 in bonus bets. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And look, y'all know that I am a numbers guy. I want all of the data I can get. I want pretty charts and graphs so I can help myself make decisions. That's true both when I'm analyzing basketball, but especially when I'm talking about my own money. I need something to show me the inefficiencies so I have more money in my bank account. It's very simple, but Monarch Money does that better than any app that I have used. Feel organized and confident in your finances with Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or on your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting, linking all of your accounts in minutes, and get clear data visuals, smart categorization of your spending, and real control over your money. If you're not on top of your money, you could be missing chances to save more, invest smarter, or hit your financial goals faster. Monarch helps you stay informed so nothing slips through the cracks. Monarch isn't just another finance app. It's a tool real professionals and experts actually love. Named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast, presented by our good friends from Rothman Orthopedics. Make sure you go check them out, rothmanortho.com/PHLY. What was the Joel Embiid other thing that you wanted to throw out there, Kyle?
So Bree, I believe, has a clip of this. Joel was asked, and let me find the exact phrasing of the question. I think Joel was asked as part of his evolution and trying to stay healthy. He got asked, have you thought about any ways you can change the way you play when you're on the court that can help you preserve your health and be available more consistently? This is part of what he had to say. Bree is going to play.
That's tough. Yeah, I mean, think about it, but then again, at times you can't get out of yourself. All I know is, ever since I started is to play hard, play both ends. There's a lot of people in the league, that play, one side, whether it's offense or defense. And, a lot of times, for me, my mentality is to do whatever it takes to win. And for all of my career actually has been having to do both. There's some guys that I actually do a lot offensively and take plays off defensively, and there's some guys that I actually be the best defenders and kind of like chill in the corner. And I don't blame them. I get I've gotten to this point because of how good I am on both ends of the floor. So if you ask me to change the way I play, is the only guess that I have is either play offensively and take plays off defensively, which doesn't suit me. I don't think I would ever be okay with that. So I don't know. I think we'll just wait and see. But yeah, I mean, if it's got to be that way, it's definitely not good.
I can feel Devon stewing right now.
He definitely could not go yes or no on that answer. I get where he's coming from, because when you play one way your entire career, and as he said, has gotten you to the point that he is, where he, as I said a little bit earlier, is most likely going to be a Hall of Famer. We talked about this a few weeks ago when we did our show of him in the Hall of Fame. It's just that when he does watch and he sees that he's not himself out there, and the mental part that you just alluded to when you guys were discussing it, somewhere in there he has to realize that you can still go 100 miles per hour, or you can give 100%. I'd rather say you can give 100%, but you just have to tweak it a little bit of how you give that 100% while still being as effective on both offense and defense. It's not about just going straight balls to the wall every time. It's going that way, but knowing when, I got to pull up here for a second and understand that I need to preserve myself. The off the backboard thing against the New York Knicks. The plays that you talked about, Derek, putting the ball on the floor and the drive is being cut off. Now he's a little bit off balance, not a little bit out of control, if you will.
Yeah.
And we see how that has resulted in some things in the past. So I understand it because of the tone down. But as we've said before, players are always the last one to understand certain things that need to be adjusted when they feel like, at least they feel like mentally, they can still do the same things, as he alluded to, that has gotten him to be the MVP, the multi-time All-Star, the All-NBA player, the all-defensive guy that we talk about. But he's probably going to have to tweak some of those things in order to stay on the floor for the amount of games that they all would like him to see him out there for.
Yeah, there's a large gap between, I think, what people are asking and what Joel is essentially saying it would require, right? You could take plays off, quote unquote, and that just might be you're going to set a hard screen and roll and not have the ball and not try to back somebody down and break them down for 15 seconds of the shot clock. And that's taking a play off. A play off would be, you might be just a pick and pop guy, or you might just be a corner spacer on a given play, right? Like, I'm not saying that that's a every play all the time thing, but there are ways to take some off of Joel's plate where this guy has basically his entire career had a historic workload on offense while also being his team's most important player on defense, right? So I don't think he's addressing what we're actually asking or talking about, right? And I think Joel is also smart enough to know that some of it is just don't go flying into the scorer's table. Don't throw self alley-oops off the backboard in a playoff game. As much as it was an amazing thing, right as it happened, leads to, we thought his career
literally
was over,
5 seconds
honestly.
later, it was not amazing.
I was like, I don't know if I'll ever see this guy play again. After he
even
did that.
50-50 balls. Certain players need to always die for 50-50 balls. He is not one of them.
He does not need to be that guy.
No, and that's okay.
Go for the 50-50 rebounds.
Yes.
Anything that is below waist level, I'm fine with you.
Yeah.
Just concede to somebody else.
That's all right.
To be fair, I do think he's gotten better at that. Like early
Yeah.
career Joel would launch himself into the stands like
Into
2 times
Regina
per
King
game.
at
Yes,
MSG.
yes. He almost murdered her. It was awful.
Right.
Poor Regina King.
Right.
So I think
Seems
he's
like a
gotten-
really nice lady.
I think he's gotten better in that regard. But like the spirit of the question isn't like, hey Joe, do you think you should be a one-way player? It's, hey Joe, can you take further steps that you've
Yes.
already sort of taken? And I think part of it might just be the
Extend
athlete.
your career, man.
I think part of it might just be the athlete. Like I want to reiterate that I'm a two-way player and I play hard. And I think he almost feels like answering it is like an admittance that he's going to play less hard and he doesn't want to do that. So I hope maybe there is some more honesty internally than maybe he's giving us, because I do think there are ways to decrease the wear and tear.
Yes.
And certainly to decrease the risk factors with that knee that I hope that he is able.
man.
And look, you're not going to do it every time because sometimes like instinct takes over, but just
Of
at
course.
least go with the goal of reducing the wear and tear.
Yes. Don't dive on the floor. Let Kelly.
That's what the young kids are for.
Let Justin Edwards do
Yeah.
that. Let Janai Broom do that. We're not going to call you out if you don't pick up a loose ball that we think you should have gotten to. We're going to call you out for the ones that, of course, you should have gotten to that one, that floorboard where Josh Hart just sneaks in there because he wanted the basketball a little bit more. Those are the ones that we're talking about, not where you're diving in Kuminga and all that stuff. That type of things happen. So, but yes, Kyle, you know me well because I just want to see him play.
Yeah.
And those things of adjusting things just a tad bit and being a little bit smarter about some of those things. I already know you can give 35 and 12 whenever you want. I already know you can drop 70. You can drop 50 in a playoff game and win a game. I know that. 27 and 10 is not bad either when you can also get maybe 2 blocks in that same game. Alter 3 more shots in that game. You have very good hands. When guys are dribbling around you, take a little steal there, all that stuff. We already know who you are. You already know that you've played in front of these people for so many long, and they know the type of player you are. The only thing you have to prove at this point is that you can, number one, adjust, as we're talking about, but then adjust your game where you're playing with these younger players, your other teammates, and uplift this team past the second round and maybe even further as we continue to talk about your career and your legacy.
And by the way, he did have a pretty long answer about, while he understands that he's the guy and there's pressure that comes with that and a performance standard, that he's cognizant of, I have to bring VJ Edgecombe along. I have to bring Jared McCain along. And he said he had, among many other people, talked about how impressed he is with VJ, loves his backstory, his work ethic, all that. And he said, not only do I need to, show these guys the right things, I have to help them learn from the mistakes I made so that they can avoid them. And that ended up being another one of the themes of the day. I think Joel talked about that. Paul George talked about that. Kyle Lowry talked extensively about his role on this team, because I know I personally and us collectively have questioned the Lowry signing a ton. And he was pretty open about the fact that there is little expectation that he's going to play this year, and that his role is, look, I've had 20 years in the NBA. I've had all these all-stars, accolades. I won a title. And he said, I felt that high of winning a championship. My job here is to set the stage for these guys to have all those things, to earn generational wealth for themselves and their families, and to have that experience. And so all the vets said the right things about, it can create a weird vibe, right? When you have a bunch of guys who are in their prime or post-prime vets, and there's a youth movement coming through, and they can look at it as, are we serious about trying to win? And like, am I going to lose my spot to guys who aren't as good as me quite yet? And most of these guys seem to be taking the right approach, which is, if I help them, they will help me.
Yeah.
We'll all be better together, and that creates the best organization possible.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Paul George now and what he had to say, because I was looking at a video of the players walking in from the parking lot this morning into the gym, get ready for media day, and he still had the sleeve on his leg. It's a little misleading when he has his uniform on because he wears both.
Right.
But when he was walking in with his son, he had one on that particular leg. What did he have to say about the surgery and the injury and what his timeline might be?
He didn't give a specific timeline. He did say that he wasn't going to be playing 5-on-5. Like he pretty much said, "What I'm doing, pretty much everything except for full contact." Yeah. So he's not playing 5-on-5. He said that he wasn't. He's not going to be ready for the start of camp to do so. But it seemed like he's doing a fair bit, probably more than I would have guessed, judging by the fact that the Sixers only released videos of him lifting weights. And he said, specifically that, like he talked about a lot about last year and how the whole year he was pretty much at 80, 85%. He feels like he's coming into the season in a better place, which is a sort of a strange thing considering he just had surgery 2 months ago. But it does seem, he talked about how now look, I'm using his quote here, so I'm not paying $1 for this. He says that every time he ramps up, he has less swelling. So, and at this point, like he's not experiencing any swelling. And he said that's the best sign he can have. So that all sounds great. Obviously, none of it really matters until you're at full contact, until you're playing 5-on-5, see how the knee feels. But it seems like every step of that progression has been going well. And the last 2 months, he's been getting closer to where he needs to be and closer to where he was before the injuries last year.
Yeah, saying that he is not dealing with any swelling at this point is definitely a major positive, right? And that's all we can really, until we see him on the floor and see what kind of explosiveness he has, what his conditioning is like, we can only just hope that the rehab steps are being taken appropriately and frankly, at this stage, probably cautiously. And he talked a bit about that of not quite, he's not Joel, right? Where Joel is like, I almost think of him as one of those F1 cars where they are so finely tuned. And when you have a high-end car, there's just a lot more maintenance that needs to be done. That's kind of what Joel is. Mm-hmm. Paul is not quite in that category because he's not 7 feet tall and he's not 270 pounds or whatever Joel is listed at this point. But at his age and with his history, like being careful while still being out there as much as possible, I think is probably the road forward for him. While we're on the Paul George subject, is this the time to, Bree, I sent you, there are a couple things from today. Paul George gave a quote this morning about things can't get worse.
Let's do it.
So Paul George,
feels like a challenge.
The exact quote, and this was at 11:17 in the morning is when I posted it. Paul George says, "Can't get no worse than last year. That was a rock bottom type of year."
Well, it's been fun.
I would like to direct people's attention to 7 minutes later.
Wow, it was that soon, huh?
And I'm not making light of this. It's just like, Paul, you really have to understand the organization that you are playing for. The House Oversight Committee, 7 minutes later, releases new documents from the Jeffrey Epstein files. And in let's see, not the first, not the second, in the third document or picture of document in there, the owner of the 76ers, or what appears to be the owner of the 76ers, Josh Harris, is named. We had to ask the team for a statement on the owner having a connection to a notorious pedophile on Sixers Media Day, 7 minutes after Paul George said it can't get worse. So just for anyone who cares, did ask for comment, nobody responded to it. A lot going on today.
Yeah.
And we, frankly, I probably do not have the bandwidth to really get deep in the weeds on this story, but one of the craziest plot twists in Sixers Media Day history.
Yeah. And we really don't have a whole ton of information other than there is a page in the files that says that he was invited to lunch and they were awaiting a reply. And that's like all the information we have. So we want to be clear on that. I think
there it is. Josh Harris.
But it is like, and you're getting DMs from people. I'm like, I'm kind of trying to like do interviews and post quotes. And like, I don't have time to read oversight documents, but it is never boring.
Yeah. And also, by the way, there were some people who were like, I can't believe there weren't questions about this. And it's like, what is Trendon Watford going to comment on this? Or any player? Like,
I mean, the only one you would have asked is even Daryl. And even that, like, he's not he doesn't have any.
He
He doesn't have any knowledge of what Josh Harris was doing in 2014.
Yeah, anyway, so
Yeah.
Paul, just be careful when you say things can't get worse because with this franchise, anything can happen at any time.
All right. So with that, back to basketball.
Back to basketball.
With Paul George.
Thank God.
We've talked about the power forward position and him not necessarily loving playing the 4, but he did answer a question about playing the power forward position. Everybody, it is, of course, in Kyle's story, allphly.com, the running media day diary. He talked about it. We don't have this clip, right?
I don't believe we do.
Cool.
So I can't speak for Bree on this one, but I can tell you what the quote is.
Yes. I was looking at it, but please go ahead. Your word.
Paul essentially said, if you had asked me about this 10 years ago, I'm out, right? But the position,
I wouldn't have asked him about it 10 years ago.
The position has
Play
changed.
the wing, man.
The position has changed so much, and he thinks the young guys can go out, play the wing. He mentioned by name, Kelly Oubre, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes as the guys that those are our wings, right? And so for the VJ truthers out there, I do think it's at least a little interesting that Paul is referring to him as a wing. And Nick Nurse actually later went on to say, talking about some multi-guard looks, and I guess we'll probably talk about that at some point, that VJ could play both of the 1 and the 3. So we're really all over the map with VJ Edgecombe where he could play. But yeah, it sounds like Paul is embracing it. Here we go. Bree's got a clip for us that she's going to play.
If you asked me about this 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been a fan of it. But today's game, man, there's not, real forwards like they used to be. So, and at this point in my career, let the young guys, go out and play the wing positions. We got great defenders in KO, VJ, Quentin, and then, again, I know where I'm at in my career. I can adjust and play at the 4 spot, give extra, ball handling on the floor, better spacing. So I'm very comfortable playing at the 4 spot this year with being a kind of a point forward type of style in Nick's offense. So I'm comfortable with it this year.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think like that hits on a theme across the NBA, right? That there are not a lot of guys who are just bruiser types. This is more of a skill, like a dribble, pass, shoot league.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul playing the 4 makes sense. The part of it that they have to square is how do they rebound and defend well enough if they don't have the size necessarily on the floor.
Yeah.
It's the effort in the 1-2. It's understanding that you are different at the 4 and at the wings where you have to help out on the rebounding with that type of lineup that you have out there. And no, we wouldn't have asked him 10 years ago because he was an elite wing player in the NBA. So of course not. But in today's NBA, as it has changed, this is, as he pointed out, and what we've talked about for weeks, this is the type of power forward position that it is in today's NBA game. And he can still play the wing, but until then, he's going to have to play the 4. There is no other player that should start over him in that role, and you go from there. So I appreciate the answer, especially since we talked about it the way that we have talked about it over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. No, and even Nick Nurse at one point joked like a 4. What even is a 4 anymore in today's league? And he's mostly right. Like,
except for when it's like Julius Randle. That's
a few matchups. But part of the reason that you wouldn't have asked Paul George to play the 4 10 years ago is that 10 years ago there were more, bruising physical 4s that you just don't see in today's game anymore. We've mostly skilled them out of existence, so to speak. No, I think, look, part of it's that you just don't have a ton of options. Like we can talk about Watford and Barlow and, all of that, but and Nick spoke about this a lot. Like you want to get your best players on the floor. You want to get players whose skill sets fit and complement each other on the floor. And if that means you're a little bit smaller than maybe some teams and you've got to figure out a way to overcome that rebounding deficiency, there's just no way to get around. Paul has to almost by construction of the roster play a decent amount of 4 this year.
That's it. When they practice tomorrow, I cannot wait to see who's wearing that blue jersey in practice with them.
And they'll pull the switch. You can't read too much into data. It's like I'm reading as much as I want into this.
Well,
you are not going to stop me.
6 days from today, They have a game. So
Yes,
we're going
they
to find
do.
out because Paul George will not be playing in that game. So we're going to find out who they have at that spot. VJ Edgecombe, the rookie, number 3 overall pick. Anything stand out from him while you guys were upstairs? We did speak to him downstairs as well, but from upstairs, was there anything that VJ Edgecombe said that stood out to you?
They made fun of him a lot for going down to what do you have to wear when he was at Disney?
He went to
goofy
Disneyland
hat.
with Maxey,
Yeah.
and he wore the goofy
hat.
hat. Tyrese said when they go to Orlando, he will be wearing the goofy hat again.
He's the
So
rookie. He has to do it. You know?
Yeah.
See, his welcome to the NBA moment was getting crushed by an Andre Drummond screen in practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I claimed he gained 5 pounds, so on Muscle Watch, I don't think the leader in the clubhouse.
Justin Edwards, I believe, is the leader in the club.
Well, especially when they listed him at 245 on the.
that was
245.
on the roster. His listed weight was 245.
They weren't doing great with the roster because the first one we got was labeled as Summer League roster.
Yeah.
Not the case. If they sent out an updated one with the training camp roster, but they still had Justin
the
at
first day for
245,
everybody.
which would have been like,
All
what,
right.
a 43-pound weight gain from last year?
Yeah.
But he said he was up to 215, which is like 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah. So put on some good muscle, hopefully. Honestly, like I think the more interesting stuff about VJ regarding VJ came from everyone else.
Still
How Nurse
245.
is going to use him. I thought Drummond said something pretty interesting where he's like that he was impressed by VJ because he kind of cut through there were no pleasantries. It was immediately like, I'm going to ask him 20 questions about just being a pro, right? And that he's been super disciplined about the work. And the common theme to a man throughout the day was this kid's motor and this kid's engine. Like I think Nurse he's like, whether you say engine, fuel, whatever it is.
He said fuel
this
with
kid's
us.
got it.
Yes.
Right? Like,
he said he
so-
realized his doesn't go past a certain point. He keeps going.
Yeah, like that they were just kind of blown away by how hard this kid plays and competes all the time, how relentless he is, working out, getting it to the weights, whether it's, doing stretching exercises, whatever it might be, that he is serious, he's professional, he plays hard. And it shows up in ways like when you talk about the want to, Devon, with something like rebounding. I'm pretty sure Tyrese Maxey at one point brought up like VJ is going to make plays because he's got the athleticism, but he also has the desire to go up and get a rebound, to go up and make a play, right? And we saw that at Baylor. We saw that with the Bahamas, even dating back to high school, right? So we saw it in Summer League for that matter, that he'll just pop up in a crowd and he'll tip a ball out. He'll come down with an offensive rebound, whatever it might be. So all the people that talked about VJ, and there were a lot of them, kept coming back to that same thing. Obviously, they've talked about his skill and how he's going to be used and things like that. But I think that was the common theme, is that he is coming in with the mentality of someone who's not a 19, 20-year-old rookie. It's someone who understands, like, I'm a top 3 pick. I was a top 5 player in my high school class. Like, I'm coming here to beat these guys that are my peers, and I want to beat these guys that are on my team, so I'm ready for the season. So that was all very encouraging to me.
It turns out the guy who trash talked Cooper Flagg has some confidence.
It's part of why I liked him, right? It's part of why we talked so much about him in the pre-draft process, is that everywhere he has been, the people who get up close with this kid are like, he is all business. And it's not like he comes in and he's all business and he's just horrible to deal with too. He's a nice kid, got a good personality, but when it's go time, he works. And so it's great to hear all that so early.
You may get an early opportunity as well with Jared McCain's injury. The Quentin Grimes situation still unresolved. He's one guy that's able to go, and he might get an opportunity to be in that first 5 early on, especially as you talk about with the mere fact that he has that desire, that 1-2, he's been around everybody, and the opportunity just being right there for him to take that, let's say, 2 guard spot, if you will, that other guard spot, and be able to hit the floor right away because of the absences of both Grimes and McCain. So we'll see what that all looks like when training camp practices get underway over the weekend. And certainly once they tip things off in 6 days in Abu Dhabi against the New York Knicks in their first game. We are going to have to hit a quick overtime here. just because we have some other things to get to. So head on over to allphly.com, everyone. Thank you on the television side, not just today, but all week. We really appreciate you hanging out with us here on the Sixers channel, but not just us, but all across our our PHLY network in general. So head on over to allphly.com. TV, we'll see you next Monday as we have 2 practices in the books, and we can talk about those things next week. All right, any other things that stood out from either Morey or Nurse and some of the other players? Did Walker and the Exhibit 10 guys, did they speak for a few minutes? Did you get any Imani Bates? Bates walked by us, talked to us in the passing, but didn't want to come on the show. So,
well, you want to talk about, so there was Justin listed at
245,
which was around.
I have it in front of me now.
Imani Bates at 6'8" is listed at 197. And I said to people at Media Day, I wrote in my story today, I was like, you almost have to try to be that skinny. And I've been fairly thin.
I've been
most
trying.
Of
It's
my life,
not working.
Right? Being 6'8", 197 is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll give him some credit for what he said about, he was asked about his time in Cleveland. They've been a very good regular season team and what he took away. And he talked about Donovan Mitchell specifically, but also the rest of those guys, about what it takes to be a winning team every day and trying to carry winning habits. That means being to the gym early, staying at the gym late, just coming with a certain level of methodical, workman-like approach to the gym. So that was good to hear, because he's a kid that people know or have believed is talented, who has not been able to turn that into professional success.
Okay.
Honestly, we talked a lot to Nurse, right? Morey and Nurse went up together, and Nurse got a lot more of the questions. And he used the phrase, what was it there? Pissed offness?
Yes.
Was that the
He shared that with us too.
That was his, yeah. So he clearly had his
He
his
knew the
talking
word.
points.
Yes, he knew what he wanted to say.
Hit today, but he said that was kind of what drove him and the whole organization throughout the offseason. Morey saying, I walk around Center City every day. I see the passion for the Eagles right now as they're in this great period of success. The Phillies, as they also the last few years have been near the top of their sport, although they haven't quite gotten there, and they want to get there. But notably, I think nobody was trying to put any sort of expectations on this team. And I think, in fact, Joel got asked about the ceiling of this team and directly said, I don't think I'm doing ceiling talk anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing that is worthwhile. It's just, you take it a day at a time and so forth. So I like that, right? We've gotten a lot of years in a row of, there should be championship expectations, right? Every year you set the bar high and you see if you can clear it or at least get close. I imagine they're doing that internally, but as far as what they're saying externally, they're trying to just stay under the radar, kind of keep to themselves, so to speak. And I think that's probably the right approach.
The one for Nurse for us when we were downstairs, for me that stood out, was outside of the pissed offness that he said, the new word that he said he created, was that he said he had to, when you have a season like they had a year ago, you have to self-reflect and you have to go back and look at things and understand where things went wrong. So that's basically speaking to the players, speaking to the staff, of looking at everything across the board. Why did it get so bad a year ago? So for all that we've talked about of hot seats, if you don't do this the right way, if you don't get off to a good start, could you be in position to maybe be one of the first coaches to be talked about and losing your job? Mm-hmm. He recognized, he said, Rich and I were sitting there before he came and sat down with us, and we were saying, man, he's never really he said he's only had the success. And outside of that bubble year where they did underperform, this was the first time that he really has not had a season that really resulted in a lot of W's and a lot of good things to talk about. Mm-hmm. This was the first time. Yeah. And injuries aside, as everybody is not making the excuse, it was a fact that did happen, but it doesn't mean that the way the season played out should have played out the way that it did. And I appreciated him pointing out that, no, I had to go back and look at everything to see why that happened under my watch and make sure that it does not happen again.
Yeah. No, I think that was a shock to a lot of people. And like Maxey's talked about it a lot, how like that's the first losing season that he's had. And it's just, it is when everything goes against you, it is a lot to take in. It's a lot to figure out how to react to. Like we can talk about reacting to adversity, but I think that took a lot of people by surprise last year. And hopefully they're better equipped, whether that's game plan. And, they talked a little bit about having a cohesive offense that they can run no matter what. A little bit of that is expectation setting and just being in the right space mentally. And hopefully they just have a better plan, because it was a stunner last year.
Yeah, it was.
One last quick thing. I think I have personally mentioned this in passing a couple times already, but Nurse already floating that they might play 4-guard lineup.
Preseason, baby. Let's see it. Do it.
And like they're definitely playing 3-guard lineups.
That's fine.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But already saying, and I'm going to give you the direct quote here. So he said, I could see VJ, for instance, playing some 1. I could also see him playing some 3 and maybe a 4-guard rotation at times. It's happening in the league right now, right? A lot of teams playing 4 guards at once. I think we need to be versatile enough to match up against those teams. I think we have the possibility of pushing guys both directions.
So when we've talked about the 4 guards, we always talk about Maxey, McCain, Grimes, and Edgecombe. I don't know that I would want to see that particular foursome of guards out there.
Well, most of the other guards that they have, you just don't kind of want to see on the floor.
Well, no, because this is where I would consider as a wing, but a guard, I would say Justin Edwards would probably be that fourth guard, if you will, out there on the floor, and depending on who they have at the 5 and see what they do with it. But that's an interesting one. Look,
I am all for getting as much shooting and ball handling and passing and decision making on the floor as you can get. I've been bought into that for a decade, and I'm not going to stop now, especially when the Sixers have an overabundance of guards. I don't know if I need to see Quentin Grimes a power forward. I know that we're not in the labels right now, but like maybe limit it to 3-guard lineups. 4 in the preseason, fine.
Yes.
But I don't know how you're rebounding with that.
But hey,
lineup.
Yes.
If VJ Edgecombe plays the 4, technically they drafted a 4 at number 3.
There you go, Pumper.
So B-Pump and all the other people who are like, they need a 4, they will be satiated if that happens.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Before we get to our final thing, we just want to let everybody know that make sure you go to allphly.com to check out the diary, the running diary that Kyle put together as it was updated all the way up to Kelly Oubre. As of right now, sign up to become a diehard member so you can take a peek at the
And don't we
running
have
diary.
a diehard sale going on right now?
I didn't know if it started today or if it's
I believe that
Monday.
we might have a new promotion. Right?
I saw it, but I think I glanced at it just because we were, doing our
But
thing.
we had a busy day, so if there was,
Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to have a new.
No, you're probably right. And
Maybe Bree knows. Bree's.
all right, so it is today.
See, look
There
at
you
that.
go.
And with that,
Look at that.
there's a diehard offer where you get a free new hat.
Look at the hat, man. It.
It's a partnership we have going on, right? With
Yes, it is with
Branded
Bills.
well-known hat maker, actually Tyler Zulli, who does our Phillies and Penn State shows.
Mm-hmm.
He got one of the Penn State Branded Bills hats and showed it to us. They're super nice material. These are, as far as I know, limited offer here with the hats. So if you have not gotten in on the Die Hard program and you also didn't want a t-shirt for whatever reason, bad take, but whatever, and you prefer a hat, here's a hat option for you. If you want the shirt, it's even cheaper. So you have 2 different options to be in on the ground floor with us in the Die Hard program. Frankly, being part of it allows us to do things like we did today, where we were able to divide and conquer. Derek's doing video. I'm writing on the website. Devon and Rich are doing interviews. Bree and Julia and Jamie are helping us out, right? Supporting the Die Hard program, supporting the Supporters Club as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those things help us keep this thing moving and keep providing you guys with cool stuff. So if you've been thinking about it, if you're on the fence, now's a good time to go to allphly.com. Get involved with that Die Hard program.
It's a pretty cool hat. You might see those hats on this set. Just saying. You might want to be like
Better
us.
see it pretty quickly, too. Like, we're some VIPs here. Let's get that shipping out there.
You want to be like us. So do that. So when you do check it out, again, sign up. allphly.com to get all the Sixers content. Practice on Saturday and Sunday before they leave to head to Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi games against the New York Knicks. Our stuff from downstairs will be up on the YouTube page as well in the videos. So please go check it out. Support as you always do, as you always have. Tell a friend and tell another friend. Send it out. Let everybody know that we had conversations. We put it out on Twitter with Nick Nurse, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Janai Broom, Trendon Watford. We had a blast on the court talking to those guys. So please go check it out when you have an opportunity. And before we sign off, the one thing that when I went upstairs, Derek was already setting up. Kyle was talking to some things and getting some things set up as well. Rich was sitting down, getting things situated. I was the one that I'm not writing. Let me go look in this room that I was told about and check out the because I was going to ask, hey guys, can I get like a jersey so you can just show it on the camera and all that stuff? They said, oh, we'll do you one better. We have a room set up for all of you to go and see everything.
And having a bunch of the guys from the 01 team, those jerseys was really cool for me to see.
Look at that. Look at that right there. You got Eric Snow and Aaron McKee with Ty Hill, George Lynch as well on the one table. Allen Iverson, Joel Embiid, because there was no 21 on that team. Dikembe Mutombo, the late, great Dikembe Mutombo, representing here as well with the 55. I think Theo Ratliff was in the other photo. They had another table with some other things. The shorts you can see right there on the table. I did take a close-up of that one so you can see the shorts. Also, no, that was Jermaine Jones with the 33. I apologize.
When did they get rid of that jersey? It was before Thad Young, right? It was well before Thad Young.
Yeah, because they went...
Because Young was 21.
Red. He went red with that uniform and all that stuff. So yeah.
I believe they got rid of it like 04, I want to say.
Maybe, because Harpering wore them, Keith Van Horn wore them, and then I think after those two, they got rid of them. I guess they saw them and then said, all right, we can't do this. These guys...
Keith Van Horn instantly killed the coolness of it.
These guys. This was the table we saw with the Eastern Conference.
I don't think I'm enhancing coolness of anything, so I'm in no position
with the Eastern Conference Championship trophy from that year. Look at Matt Geiger in the photo with Iverson, the man who saved the season from using this.
Kidding.
Now, I'm not giving up my trade kicker there. So
was it Jamal Mashburn, right? It was a Mash?
For
that trade that got blocked.
That was the Detroit.
That was the Detroit one?
That was the Detroit one, yeah. So, guys, gals, just number one, Kyle also put out a message where he sent to me in our in-house communication where he's like, you guys know us, our fans of our show, Kyle did not want the mesh shiny one back.
Or the cutoff sleeves.
Guess
who did want them?
Kyle Lowry wanted
another
them back.
strike against them.
Oh, man. He wanted them back. He said, I wanted it all. But guess I got my hands on a cutoff sleeve jersey from a former Sixer.
Wow.
My man Mark Jackson brought his jersey in for their interviews on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and it fits my entire body.
I was going to say, you look like I'm not trying to do the short thing. You look like a little kid holding up their dad's.
It's more a statement on Mark Jackson than it is you. That would look ridiculous on Kyle and I too, all right?
Listen, you know I make fun of myself. So I said, Jamie, you have to take a picture of this. Look how big this jersey is. And Mark made it clear. He said, man, don't forget, we wore our stuff baggy back then. So
that's true.
Totally different.
Shout out Mark Jackson.
Shout out Mark Jackson for letting us take that picture and all. So all that to say, you're going to love those jerseys when you are able to get your hands on them. So please go support SixersShop.com on the 15th when they're available.
I posted pretty much the same thing that you did. I had multiple people DM me like, hey, can you steal me one? I'm like, no, I value my job way more than whatever you will give me for that jersey.
The one Dikembe Mutombo jersey that's out at media
right
day?
Now, right.
Great idea.
Yeah, on hangers on the table.
I wouldn't do it even if there were a ton of them, but like...
No, heck no.
Like...
You know what we'll do?
On,
we'll tell you to go to SixersShop.com.
Yeah.
On what, the 16th?
On the 15th. And on the 17th in the arena on that Friday for their first preseason games when they come home, 6 p.m. in the arena. You can go and shop, put your hands on them and buy whatever you want to buy. The shorts are also awesome. I'm telling you, you will like. Kyle, you did not like the shiny, but the material was very good. Nike and the Sixers did a really good job. All right, folks, we got to go.
No roll call today. Sorry, everybody. Long day.
Have a great weekend. Do all you like and subscribe, though, because we do need to make sure.
Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. And hit that thumbs up. so you can get more great stuff like this, but also to say thank you to super producer Bree, who's having a hell of a day
She
today.
was fantastic
working
today.
her butt off just like she always does. We'll be back Monday for the regular show at 3 p.m. But over the weekend, you'll probably see some more content from us, video, written, whatever. Stay tuned to allphly.com. Follow us all on Twitter, every other social platform. We'll see you there. First practice Saturday, tomorrow. Cannot wait. You guys have a good weekend. Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.